fantastic show. How's the tour going? I mean,
the tour's going great, man.
And it has people moving and everything.
People are loving the show and just having a good time. It's a classic show. I think every show I get better. Mm-hmm. I think every special I get better, and I think that this is, to me, my most special work. Yeah. I think the more pain you go through in life, the funnier you get if you're a comedian.
And that's what makes life, and that's what makes the show, because most of the time you sit down with great comedians, and I see you down that road, and I don't say that to kiss up. The fact is, life is what they talk about.
Yeah.
When you look back at the classics, I call Richard Pryor.
Yes.
And then Richard's most funniest.
That's when it gets funny. And
right.
So for me, my last special, I talked about losing my parents mm-hmm. and how painful that was, but how funny it was dealing with them and what was the light of it. And that's mm-hmm. what I left people with. And so throughout this next journey, everything for me is what's funny about what hurts. Right. And because I feel if I do that, then mm-hmm. I'm healing people. I'm not just making them laugh.
I mean, you watch now, when you go back to the days of seeing your older siblings when they were doing In Living Color, that was an inspiration as well?
That was school. Yeah. How lucky am I to be I was like 15 when they did the pilot. Mm-hmm. When they started doing the show and it got picked up, I think I was like 16, 17. So I grew up on the set. I was actually telling Keenan and them, hey, you should have Busta Rhymes perform. There's this school, the leaders of the new school, because I was big into music.
Right.
Like, you got to have Tribe Called Quest. Yo, Keenan, y'all got to, and so I would go down to the set when my favorite artist was on, but I was down there when they did the pilot. And when they did the pilot, I was like, yo, this is special. I'm watching something mm-hmm. special. And then I got to become a in season 4 and work with Jim Carrey and work that cast, Tommy Davidson, Jamie Foxx, my brother Sean, me and him started writing sketches. That's my college.
That's your college.
My comedy college, yeah.
And, you said something that made it on that show.
Yeah, Keenan put that show put a lot of people on. My brother was an absolute visionary, and it's funny how the influence of not just the comedy, but the music, the culture. Mm-hmm. It was a big cultural explosion. That put, like, for us, like, black culture on the map. Right. And then from that, it spawned all the different shows that happened in the 90s. You got to think, when Jamie Foxx and the Wayans brothers and Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer and Martin and Will, you had all these young black talents on at one time. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we're going to see that again.
Oh, may not.
That might have been it. But yeah. I feel like that next wave is coming, and I feel like I learned so much from my brother, and I see how I can make an impact and us hit that ground and have that big meteor strike again.
One of my favorite movies that you did, White Girls?
White Chicks.
White Chicks.
Yes.
White Chicks.
White Chicks, White Girls. Use clothes.
Same thing. That was like the concept behind that.
Yeah, that was actually Sean came up with that concept. I thought he was high on something. And
Probably was.
It was green tea.
Green tea?
Called me up at 3 a.m. was like, Marlon, we should play White Girls. I said, boy, if you don't take your behind to sleep and stop drinking green tea at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then in the morning, he came over and him and Rick Alvarez, my longtime producer and writing partner, showed us, I think it was FHM magazine or Rolling Stone magazine. And it was the cover. It was Nikki and what's her name? Hilton. Paris and Nikki Hilton on the cover. Oh, okay. And he was like, these are the white girls we need to play. And they were big at the time. Right. And we was like, okay. And then we watched Some Like It Hot. And then once he saw that movie, I was like, oh, I see how we do this.
Oh, Tony Curtis.
Yes.
That old one.
Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. Mm-hmm. And then we pitched it to Keenan, and Keenan was like, yeah, but you gotta make them fish out of water. So let's just not have them in the city. Let's take them to the Hamptons. And that's when White Chicks just started formulating. And of course, the Terry Crews was a brother It was a character I used to do in the clubs. It was the brother that loved white women. You know what I mean? He was the athlete, man. He got the money, and you know he just want to make it snow. You know what I mean? That brother, he loved he loved the snow. And so that character was based on a lot of like funny observations we was making about brothers that made it back then. And the first thing they wanted was white girls, and that was everything to him. So he got a lot of jewels, and Terry was great and brought a lot of fun to that character, and a lot of improv, and you know, it was and all the girls was just so down, and all the girls in the cast. It was just probably one of the hardest movies I've ever done, because it was 7 hours of makeup, and then me and Sean would work 14 hours after that, because we forced our call the entire movie, because as producers, the only way to get that movie done for that budget was me and Sean couldn't sleep, and so. Even though we worked that much, we still found time to hang out with our cast, and I still say White Chicks was probably the funnest movie we ever did.
It showed it. You had to believe it. Listen, I know we got to get you ready for the show.